Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad you're here. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe. We are doing a craft today, Halloween, and it's a witch. I'm so excited because I love witches. I don't know what I'm talking about. I love everything Halloween. Ghosties, skeletons. So, hope you can stick around. Don't forget to check me out on Etsy. The link to my shop is in the description of every video. Welcome to another edition of Zombie Dance Party. Dance all day, all night, all day, all night, forever and ever and ever. Okay, let's do our craft now. Enough screwing around. Okay, here we go. I guess it's called a shadow box. Not exactly sure, but I'm not digging on the color. We're still jamming. We're still jamming. 2 coats, let it dry in between. I just used a semi-gloss black. We're going to be doing a little scenery in there. And I got to go scavenge me a branch, a stick, because stinking booty holes that I ordered my supplies from didn't wrap it properly, no bubble wrap whatsoever, and it broke. Okay, here we go. Everything's dry. It's been a couple days. I let it dry completely because I knew I was going to be manhandling it and I didn't want to screw up or chip or scratch the paint. I'm going to use some of this sheet moss that I got from Hobby Lobby. Just measuring out the bottom, I wanted to make sure, I'm going to make like a cemetery, I guess, kind of scenery, and I wanted that green grass, so I'm going to utilize this. I still had some laying around, and I'm going to take some of the hot glue and just kind of blob it all in the bottom. Make sure you put plenty on though, because you want to make sure that sticks really good, because all the other little pieces you're going to be gluing in there are going to be sitting on top of the grass. This is a mold that I got from Amazon. I took a screenshot to share it with you so you'd know what to get if you want it. It's silicone, and I use this Nara air dry clay that I got from Hobby Lobby. And here it is. I just thought that was the perfect face for a moon, and I had to let that sit and dry for a couple of days. Now I just took a little bit of black paint and watered it down, and I'm squeezing it over that just because I want definition and all the little eye sockets and the nose and the mouth and everything to make it stand out a little bit. I didn't want it stark white. I did paint it white first, and then I did the black wash. I dabbed off the excess, and then I just took a little toothpick, and I'm giving him the side eye. I love the side eye. A little attitude. And I accentuated the eyes with that, and then I went ahead and took that toothpick and kind of went over his mouth lightly a little bit more, just to make that a little bit more accentuated also, to stand out a little bit more, his frown, scowl. I did the wash again too, second time. And then I'm going to take the hot glue again, after I figure out where I wanted to position him, and put a buttload of that on the back of it. and then, you know, stick it up in the corner there, up that left corner. Not so high that you don't see it at all, but low enough to where, you know, but you still want it to be in the sky because it's a moon. And that little picture there to the left is the package that I got. It says cemetery, and it's Tim Holtz. Again, I used like the last time. Yeah, my broom handle from my witch was broken in 3 pieces. So I took the broom part of it and I just got a little tiny sliver of a, you know, branch, and made a new broom handle for my broom. And right now what I'm doing is I'm taking this, it's an antique porcelain German doll, and they have like blue shoes with, you know, socks, white socks. So I'm going all the way up to the top of the sock, and it's going to look like she's wearing black witch's boots. And I'm just using, you know, your cheapy black acrylic paint. Unfortunately, I misplaced the tiny witch's hats that I had. So, and I tore everything apart trying to find them because I didn't want to do this. So I took a real flexible thin piece of, you know, kind of like a cardboard, and making my own. Just make a cone and then have your flat circle. I burnt the snot out of my finger again. And make your own witch's hat. Believe me, I was not a happy camper because I hate doing this. So I just make the cone, cut off the excess, and just use some of that hot glue to hold it in shape. Trimmed it down on the end to make it a little bit shorter. And then I'm going to take that bottom portion and actually cut a hole in that, because I want the hat to be sitting down on top of the head, not floating on top of the head. I think that looks kind of goofy. So I want it to sit down on the head. So I'm cutting that part out, because if you can see here how it's going to sit down in on the head. But I have to, of course, paint it first. So I'm going to use some more of that black acrylic paint and paint the cardboard. I put a couple coats on it, and the hot glue is going to be our friend again. Because that's how I'm going to get it to, you know, adhere to the doll. But actually, what I did before I did the hat, finished the hat, I should say. I let that dry, set aside and let the hat dry, and I scavenged any kind of black fabric, ribbon, or anything like that I had, because I want to make her an outfit. You know, I don't want her to be naked in the cemetery. That's not right. So, I'm going to be making her some clothes. The only way I know how to do it, because I can't sew a lick. I can patch a hole, and that's kind of janky anyways. But, yeah. So I'm taking, you know, the smaller pieces, and I'm going to do the straps. And basically all I'm doing is just going to be putting a dab of hot glue on the front of the doll, a dab of hot glue on the back of the doll, and then, you know, glue them pieces down on her so it looks like she has straps to a dress. Now I have this ruffled crepe paper. I just fold it over to kind of make it a little bit fuller right on the seam there. And I'm going to do the same thing with gluing it. I'm going to put a dab of glue on the front, on her belly, and some glue on the back of her. Wrap that around her so she has a little skirt. Now the crepe paper, I get it off of Etsy because it's already ruffled for me. Somebody takes the time to do it. I'm too lazy to do it that way, so I just buy it where it's already done for me. And next step after we have the skirt done is I took a little bit of whiter piece of black ribbon and just cut it down to fit, and we're going to wrap it around her midsection, which will cover up the top of the skirt where the seam's at, and it'll cover up, you know, your raw ends of your straps, and it'll have this nice finished look to it. Okay, I didn't want her to be bald, and I don't have a doll wig, so I took an old ratty doll that I had and gave her a little bit of a trim. I stole some hair. So I put a little bit of hot glue around the opening here, and I'm taking little bits of that hair that I took off, and I'm kind of gluing it around that hole in the head to give her some hair. I know, I'm a goofball. Probably the best case scenario would have been not to do it this way, you know, because she looks a little homeless. But honestly, if I could redo it, I probably would have maybe took a little piece of cork or something like that and glued the hair around that cork and then shoved the cork in the head. So FYI for you. Okay, so she's got her funny hair, and I'm basically just going to be gluing this 2-part witch hat onto her head, which I've done right here. And I put her hair in a ponytail because her hair was just is a little funny. It was a little funny. So yeah, I put it in a little ponytail, and right in that area where the cone met the brim of the hat, I used these tinsel stems that I got from the Dollar Tree, I think it was, last year. And they're a little sparkly, so it covered up that seam and gave her a little bling. But this doll has movable legs, so I can't just glue her feet in there and expect her to stand. She'll just, you know, fall forward. So I put some glue on her back and glued her against the back wall of this little diorama thing that I did. And because of the fact that, you know, I'm trying to get my hands into this like 4.5-inch space, I couldn't film putting everything in. All you would have seen was hands. So I went ahead and put everything in, just used hot glue, and here it is. There was 2 little tombstones in that packet, and I had some little tiny spider, and I put a little tiny spider on one of the tombstones. And inside the cauldron that came in that little packet, I put a little wad of some of that moss in there, bright green moss. That was also a Hobby Lobby purchase from last year, because it needed something in it, and I really couldn't think of what else to put in it. So here it is hanging on the wall in my kitchen. Just thought I'd give you the whole overview here. It's really hard to get in there and show you everything without shadowing myself. But here's one of my other things I got up here on my kitchen wall. Yeah, my kitchen. Some frog and a butterfly. And over here in my pantry, I wanted to show you my Mr. Skelly with his top hat and his lantern. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and might try something similar at home. Until next time, guys. See ya later. Bye.